Good morning, Web Spiders. Today's Thursday. It's August 18th, and tonight there's a really special thing happening in the web. It's our very first PTO meeting, and PTO means Parent Teacher Organization. So all parents are invited to come to the meeting tonight at 6:30 here at Web, and guess what? You can come with your parents too. We have free babysitting in the gym. So we have some teenage kids that'll be in the gym playing games and those kinds of things. So have your parents come to our PTO meeting, and you can hang out with some of your friends in the gym just doing activities and having fun. So that'll be awesome. So yesterday we did our first popcorn reading drawing where Mrs. Abel had to deliver a book to Mrs. Bridges. So today we're going to see who the next staff member is that book's going to be passed along to, and who gets one day and one day only to read through that book. You guys ready? Yeah. Let's see. Boom. It is Mrs. Debbie Stevens in the cafeteria. So Mrs. Bridges, when you hear this, you need to deliver that book to Mrs. Stevens. Now, I happen to know that Mrs. Stevens has her own personal copy of that book, but that's okay. I already know that she's read part of it, so she can breeze through it, and tomorrow it'll be her job to deliver it to the next person. So Mrs. Bridges, hand it off to Mrs. Stevens in the cafeteria. That is awesome. Do you guys remember what our character trait is this month?
Courage.
Courage. Well, Mrs. Clendenning is awesome because a lot of times she'll share little stories with me that have to do with our character trait, and she's always the one that helps us decide what character traits we're going to study and work on each and every month. And you'll notice a lot of times when she comes in your class and does a counseling lesson, it has to do with the character trait sometimes. So you might recognize this little girl, and if you don't, her name is Boo. From Monsters, Inc. Boo was very afraid of the scary monster in her closet, and Sully helped her not be afraid by making her laugh and showing her that her monster couldn't really hurt her. Have you ever been afraid because of how something looks, the color of their skin, the clothes that they wear? Have you ever been afraid maybe of a person or a thing just because they look different? Have you ever changed your mind about someone who made you nervous? Maybe you were just nervous because you didn't know them. Did you lose your fear of that person? So sometimes, and I know what this happens a lot at the beginning of the school, kids are kind of afraid, apprehensive, don't want to leave mom and dad, don't want to meet a new teacher, that type of thing. And then you get in your teacher's class for like a minute, and they're so cool and it's so much fun, you're like, what was I afraid of? But it did take courage to walk through the door the first time, didn't it? And sometimes even the second day. Okay. But meeting someone new does take courage. If it's a new teacher, a new friend, whatever. Being someone's friend, even though they look, sound, or act differently, takes courage. Courage makes good things happen. So even making new friends or getting to know your teacher, meeting anybody new takes courage. Just like Boo. She was afraid of that monster in her closet until she finally figured out it wouldn't hurt her, right? Okay. So have courage. Have courage. Be brave. I was working with someone in the office yesterday who maybe didn't make some very good choices. They didn't make some very good choices. So they were timing out in the office, but the one thing they told me before they went back to class is that they were going to have courage to do the right thing and to be a good classmate. So I thought, ooh, they've been listening to announcements. That gives brownie points with Mrs. Murray, and you think? Okay, got my ambassador crew here that they're going to talk a little bit about our buddy bench. Now, I mentioned that last week in the announcements that we have this bench out on our playground, and it says buddy bench on it, and you're not supposed to sit on it unless you know the rules. So we're going to start at the very beginning. I'm going to borrow this, Mr. Edgar. I'm going to read the very beginning, and then they're going to tell you some rules. Web is excited to have something new on our playground. We just got this last year. It's called the Buddy Bench. Buddy benches exist on playgrounds all over the world. They have a very special purpose, to make sure that everyone has a chance to be included at recess. So how does this buddy bench work? Our committee came up with ideas that will help make the buddy bench work, and here they are. Now, we had a committee of students last year that came up with these rules. Were any of you on that committee? Okay, so Edgar, our very own Edgar, was on that committee, and some of the other kids have already gone on to Custer Baker, and then we did have a couple younger kids on the committee as well. So we're going to start with number 1. Mr. Noah, tell us about the buddy bench. Loud and clear.
Maggie.
Oh, Maggie, sorry.
Before you sit on the buddy bench, think of something you would like to do and ask somebody to play with you.
Oh, so before you ever go to the bench, you got to try to come up with an idea on your own? Okay, number 2.
The bench is only used if you can't find anyone to play with, not for socializing.
Oh, you don't just go hang out there?
No.
This is after you've tried to find someone to play with and you can't. Then you go to the buddy bench. Number 3.
While sitting on the buddy bench, look around for a game you can join.
Oh, so even on the bench, you could still be scanning the playground, trying to find something to do? So you could get off the buddy bench if you find something to do, right? You don't have to wait for a person? Oh, okay. Number 4.
If you see something you want to do or a friend you want to talk to, get off the bench and join them.
Okay, so just go and do it. Have courage. 5.
When you see someone on the bench, ask that person to play with you.
Oh, so if you're not on the bench, you're just out playing and you see someone on the bench, that's your job, right? As a good citizen and a classmate to go invite them to play with you, right?
Yep.
Have courage, even if you don't know them, even if they look different, right? Okay, next one.
If you're sitting on the bench, play with the first classmate who invited you.
That's a big one. If you go to the bench, like you've looked around, you can't find anything to do and you can't find anyone to play with, and you go sit on that bench, and someone that you don't know comes and invites you to do something, you got to go. That's the rule of the buddy bench. You got to take the first invitation that you get. Woo! I'm pretty glad we have that buddy bench. Yeah, it keeps everyone, involved at recess, and it keeps everyone from being lonely. So that is awesome. At this time, if you will stand and push your chairs in. Oh,
Keep playing with your new friends for today.
Oh, keep playing with your new friends for that day. So that means don't play with them for 3 minutes, decide that's not what you want to do, and go back to the bench. If you've already sat on the bench that day, that is your only time on the bench. Go play. It's all up to you. Well, actually, it's up to all of us to make the buddy bench work at Webb Elementary, right? Yep. Okay, I'll take these papers so they're not making a whole lot of noise. Now, if you already stood, you're standing right now, we are going to have a moment of silence. Okay, you might have noticed that I have included one more ambassador in our group here at the Webb. Can you tell us who you are, sir?
David.
This is David. His last name is Sanchez. He's also in Mrs. Walters' room. Yep. David, ready for the flag?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job. Well, gosh, I think that's about all we have going on in the Webb today. Remember that the TH adjectives were the ones we had trouble with last year, but we decided that we could always call Thursdays thrilling, and I'm always open to more suggestions of words to describe Thursday that maybe start with the same sound, but that's kind of hard, isn't it? Okay, let's do our creed and have a great day. Here we go.
I am a member of the Webb family. I take pride in myself and my school. I promise to do these things every day. I will only say positive things about myself and others. I will respect and trust others. I will insist on giving my personal best. I will discuss and listen actively. I will expect and give truth and honesty. I am glad to do my part to make Webb School a place where everybody is somebody special.
Make it a great day in the Webb and make sure you are
Doing it right. Bye.